What's up guys, Tundrum here, back with another video. Today I'm going to be showing you my top 5 picks on the worst mythic rares in the game. Mythic rares was a rarity introduced in a Lara block. Mythic rare is the rarest rarity in the game. Normally mythic rares are extremely powerful, extremely hard to get, but normally very powerful. These 5, it's a whole different game. They're all none are horrible, but they're all extremely bad and could still be a common and be bad. Without further ado, I have an honourable mention, Hotline Dinosaur Knight. This kind of stands out for all those intro deck planeswalkers, like Liliana, Gideon, all of them. More recently, they haven't been quite as bad, but Hotline I think is probably the worst of all of them. Even in a dinosaur deck, she's not that good. 6 mana, 4 loyalty. You put 2 loyalty counters on her to put 2 1/1 counters on up to 1 dinosaur you control. -3 to get a Rabid Bite effect. Target dinosaur you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. And you can -7 her to give dinosaurs you control 4/4 until end of turn. All of this is pretty underwhelming for 6 mana. That's why she's on an honourable mention. Coming in at number 5 we have Reap Intellect. This is a pretty underwhelming mythic. It's 4 mana and X, so what does it do? It's a sorcery. It says target opponent reveals his or her hand, you choose up to X non-land cards from it and exile them. For each card exiled this way, search that player's hand, graveyard, and library for any number of the cards with the same name as that card and exile them. Then that player shuffles his or her library. This is really underwhelming. The only situation when this is remotely good. Actually, no, that makes no difference really, but I was thinking about look at hand effects, because then you could look at their hand and say, right, I don't want that card in their deck, and then cast this. But even then, playing this for 5 or 6 mana only gets you 1 or 2 cards isn't that good, and by then it's probably too late to remove anything from their deck, and still, you don't really get to choose what you remove from their deck. I guess this is kind of pretty much just saying 4X target opponent reveals their hand and you choose X non-land cards from it and they discard them. That's virtually what it's saying. It's really underwhelming, one of the worst mythics in the game. Next up we have Tybalt, which is undoubtedly the worst planeswalker in the game. He's 2 red and 2 loyalty for a planeswalker Tybalt. You can +1 him to draw a card then discard a card at random. This is, if anything, a downside, even in a Madness deck. -4 him. Tybalt deals damage equal to the number of cards in that player's hand to that player. That is really bad. Even if you get this on your opponent, let's say, well, you're going to target your opponent, it's probably going to be at best hit them for 3 or 4 damage. And by then we've already hit to tick them up 3 times and then lose 4 loyalty. That's really underwhelming. And then -6 gain control of all creatures until end of turn, untap them, they gain haste until end of turn. This is normally game winning, but the chance you're going to get him to 6 loyalty is so low, he's really bad. Worst planeswalker in the game, plus he's double red, you don't want to run him. Next up we have Lich's Mirror. This is a 5 mana artifact. If you would lose the game, instead shuffle your hand, your graveyard, and all permanents you own into your library, then draw 7 cards and your life total becomes 20. On the edge of this doesn't look that bad, it saves you from losing the game, but realistically, that you lose all your permanents in your hand and everything, it's just you're probably still going to lose, because they're going to have permanents on the field. Turn 1 you play a land, turn 2 you might play a 2-drop, turn 3, but by then you'll probably already back down to 10 or 9 life, and you're probably stuffed anyway. This is just a really underwhelming card. In fact, most of the time, it just is 5 mana artifact, do nothing, because when you lose the game, you're probably just going to lose the game the second time, because you've lost everything. A really bad card. You don't want to be running this anywhere, not even in EDH, still bad then, and yeah, it's just a bad card. Next up, I have Descent into Madness. This card is absolutely terrible. It's a 5 mana enchantment, and it says at the beginning of your upkeep, put a charge counter on it. You don't get to choose if you put a charge counter on it, then it might be playable, but no, it's not that. You put a counter on it, or the spear counter actually, and then each player exiles X permanents he or she controls, and / or X cards from his or her hand, where X is the number of spear counters on Descent into Madness. This is just horrible. Even if you have more permanents than your opponent, this isn't going to do that much, because the time you've ran them out of permanents, you're probably still going to be in a bad position anyway. It's 5 mana, you exile, like the first turn, let's say you both sack a land, then you sack a creature and a card from hand, they sack 2 lands. It's just really bad. You're going to have to exile itself within a couple turns, and most of the time, because they choose what they exile, and it can be from their hand or anything, it's just not really going to do that much. It's just really bad. And finally, what is probably undoubtedly the worst mythic in the game is Archangel's Light. 8 mana. It probably does something busted, but especially for a mythic. But in this case, no. You gain 2 life for each card in your graveyard, and then shuffle your graveyard into your library. This is horrible. Even in some sort of graveyard-based deck, which you're probably not going to find much of in white, gaining all that life might be helpful, but because you're in a graveyard-based deck, then you shuffle your graveyard back in, and even then, 8 mana to gain 50 life isn't that good. In most situations, it's just going to be 8 mana, gain 12, 14 life, and shuffle it back into your deck. There are so many better cards than this. Like, what else can you get for 8 mana? You can get Vorinclex, you can get just so many better things, Realist, Everson, Grizzlebrand. There's just so many better cards for 8 mana, especially at Mythic. It does almost nothing and is really bad. That concludes my top 5 worst Mythic list. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more videos from me, and yeah, peace out.